dear students, how are you today? Welcome to our basic grammar class. Before we begin with the new materials, now let's do a quick review about last week's materials. Last week we discussed pronoun. Do you remember? Okay, we have some types of pronouns. Subject pronouns, object pronouns, possessive adjective, possessive pronoun, and the last one is reflexive pronoun. For example, if the subject pronoun is I, the objective pronoun is me. Possessive adjective, my. Possessive pronoun, mine. And reflexive pronoun, myself. And the others. I believe that you still remember because last time we did a lot of practice on it. Okay, now let's go to the new materials. Articles. Okay, by the end of this session, you'll be able to understand the functions of article, and you will be able to differentiate the use of definite and indefinite article in sentences. And of course, the last one, you will be able to answer questions related to article. Okay, now let me show you this illustration. Joe said, I had a sandwich and an apple for lunch. And then the next sentence, the sandwich wasn't very good, but the apple was nice. Can you tell me which ones are the articles? In these illustrations, we have three different articles. A, an, and the. Okay, so a and an are basically the same article, definite, indefinite article, right? But the question is when and how do we use the different article for different nouns? As the illustration shown here, the use of article precedes the nouns. So the article comes before nouns. Now let's do a quick review about the nouns first, right? If you still remember, we have two kinds of nouns, countable and uncountable nouns. So later in the countable noun, we have the singular noun and plural noun. And in the uncountable, of course, there isn't the singular and plural. Okay, in singular countable nouns, we can use those two articles. We can use a and an for the singular non-specific countable noun, or we can use article the for the specific, for the definite singular countable nouns. Meanwhile, for the plural, we can use the definite article the. And we can also use the no articles, or we do not use any articles for the plural countable nouns. Okay, now let's go to the uncountable nouns. For the uncountable nouns, we can use either the article the or no articles. For the specific one, we can use the. And for the general one, we use zero or no articles. Okay, I need to remind you that in the previous illustration, we see that the articles comes before the nouns. And these articles are usually used with certain categories of proper nouns. And also, they are usually used with common nouns or noun phrases. So it's not only a singular noun, but also the noun phrases. Okay, so the two articles, the two types of articles are definite and indefinite articles. The definite one is the article the, while the indefinite ones, the indefinite articles are a or an. Or even we have what we call as zero article or no articles. Let's discuss the rules of using these articles one by one. Okay, so for the article the, for the definite articles, there are some categories of proper noun which do not require the. So we do not put the for these following categories. We do not use the for people's names, for cities and states, for singular names of countries, months or days, streets, religious building, and also mountains, parks, and lakes. For examples, we do not use the for names, right? Like John Locke's, we do not say the John Locke's. We do not say the Sherlock. We do not say the Harry Potter. Okay, the examples of each categories are shown here. Okay, the next rule is some proper nouns require the. It's different with the previous one. If the previous categories, they do not require the, but these ones require the. Some categories are museums and galleries, buildings, highways, seas and oceans, rivers and deserts, periods and events in history, bridges, countries with united, union, kingdom or republic, and the last one is the islands groups ending in es. Okay, let me give you one example. For example, the countries with united, right? We have the United States or the United Kingdom, right? Okay, and then the other examples are shown in the table here. Okay, the next rules is when we use this article is depend on whether the nouns are generic or specific reference. Okay, let me show you these two similar sentences. Okay, a paper on global warming was presented at a conference. And then the next one, the paper on global warming was presented at the conference. What is the difference? The slightly difference just happened in the article, in the use of article. In the first sentence, I can say that there are a lot of papers with the same topics, global warming, and only one of them was presented in the conference, right? But the second one, the paper on global warming. Okay, let's say in the conference there are a lot of papers with different topics. Let's say global warming, women movement, and then disability, and then etc. But the one chosen to be presented was the paper on global warming. Okay, do you get it? So the specific and the generic or general reference. Okay, the next one. So we use the definite article the when the noun is recognizable by both the writer and the reader, or the speaker and the listener through the shared knowledge. It means that both parties have the same knowledge on that particular noun. For example, the sun rises in the east. When I say the sun rises in the east, I believe that you refer to the same sun I'm talking about, right? Because we just have one sun, right? So that's the sun I'm talking about, and also that's the sun that you're talking about. Okay, that is the case if there is only one thing in this word. But this is another example to make it clearer. I have this sentence. The lab report should be submitted today. Of course, in this word, there are a lot of kinds of labs, right? But now let's give context on this. Let's say you are in listening class and you have been using the language laboratory, and then the lecturer said, okay, the lab report should be submitted today. So the lecturers and the students know which labs they are talking about, which is the language labs. It cannot be the computer lab or the chemist lab. So as long as the speaker and listener or the writer and the reader knows the same things about that noun, they have the shared knowledge about that particular noun, we can use definite article the. Okay, right? So the next rules is we can use the definite article the after a general reference is made. The example, e.g. 1471 students are required to write an essay in the semester. The essay will be revised a few times, right? if you pay attention, the first mentioned is using article an, because that is considered as generic. While the second mentioned, we use the. So for the second, third, fourth, and fifth, and so on and so forth, we can use definite article the, because we have the general reference before. Okay, so I will explain the rules for using the indefinite articles for next meeting. But before that, now let's do the exercise or the practice on the spada that I have attached. And I also have provided the forum in case you have questions about today's materials. You can write it your questions there, and then I will discuss and I will answer your questions in the next meeting. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you for paying attention. See you next meeting. Goodbye.